Welcome to episode 6 of A Diary of a Wayshower, and thank you for continuing to listen. I truly appreciate it, and I would appreciate if you could like or leave a comment for me. It would encourage me to keep going. And also, I now have my Buy Me a Coffee link, so any help and support you could give me by buying me a coffee or a cocktail or a cup of tea would help me, of course, maintain the subscriptions I have to subscribe to be able to get an RSS feed and to put this out into the public domain. I truly appreciate it. There's a link underneath the episode and links on my YouTube channel as well. So, in my last episode, it was very deep, wasn't it? And raw, to be honest, and something I wanted to release regarding the things that happened to me. And if you haven't listened to those episodes, then this episode will make more sense if you listen to the others first, because it's like I'm doing this in chronological order. I'm trying to document a journey that I'm going on as such. So last week I announced that my husband was swapped out for a clone, which he was, and that clone has no soul and no heart, and is I presume has come through a cloning facility of some sorts. I was advised that the body is swapped out more often than you think, and how they're reproducing the clone body is from the DNA of my dead husband, which is not very nice, is it? But there you go. And that the consciousness of that clone is being controlled, and there's probably a very dark agenda behind it. There's still around, so I just want to put this on record. I thought about it from last week of what I've said. I'll put this on record that when that clone is defunct, has no job to do anymore, they normally suicide the clone as well, or they create a scenario where that clone dies or whatever. They've got to be very careful, because if that body was to be examined in a normal environment like a hospital, whatever, with normal doctors and nurses and GPs, they may find something odd about them. And it does explain the aversion he had, the clone, to going to the doctors after 2022. He never even went for his yearly checkup after he had his operation. I thought that was very, very strange. He was called back for a checkup and he didn't take it. And I just, he wouldn't want to, would he? He wouldn't want to. So that explains a lot. Needed a blood pressure checkup at the GP's, didn't want to do it, didn't go. That was very out of character from my true husband. He would always go to the doctors if he was called in. He'd go and get whatever he needed to be done. He suffered from more ill health than me, so I've been very, very blessed to have a good health for most of my life. I'm 60 in September, but I'm pretty good. I think hopefully my blood pressure is within normal range at the minute. Saying that, with what went on last year, I'm sure my blood pressure was sky high at some point. But so I'm putting that on record that I did think there would be another reason they might suicide him as well, was to put the blame on me, because when I first left, I'll just put things in perspective, right? Because I think I want to finish this off before I move on. that as I was in the caravan uh, planning to leave, uh, he turned up a few days before I was planning to walk away forever. And he knew, I think he knew I was going to do it. He did know. Uh, and I realised he'd always had access to my phone with the key code, always, so that he could help me with apps and things sometimes. Uh, and I decided to test him. So I, as you do, well, I changed my phone code immediately on my phone to a different code, so he couldn't get in. And I left my phone in a particular position, and I went to the bathroom. Now, I was testing him to see whether he'd pick the phone up and try and get in it and look at the messages, because he would be wanting to know who I was messaging, right? And I put the phone in a particular position right by, offsetting against a cup, so I knew exactly where it would be when I got back. I did it on purpose. I came back and the phone had been moved. So I knew that he'd picked the phone up quickly, tried to get in, and then realised he couldn't get in, and put the phone back down again, but not in the place I left it. So that was another test, yeah, he's tried to get in the phone. So that was that. And then the day that he left to go back, which would have been about 3-4 days before I was due to come home, but I wasn't planning on coming home, he insisted on kissing me goodbye. Now, can you imagine, I know I'm kissing a clone. I know this is a bit but it wasn't a big kiss, it's just peck on the lips thing. But as he did that, he stared at me and said to me, "I'll see you in a few days when you come home." Then he just stared at me and said, "If you come home at all." There you go. So he was delivering his message to me of, "I know you know I'm a clone," or "We know you know this is a clone, and that you're going to run." So that was a little bit freaky. And then he just walked away. He walked down the steps, walked down the path, and I'll say this to you, that was another heartbreaking moment when I realised that the image of my husband, right, is walking away, and I will never ever see an image of my husband at all ever again on this earth, because I'd never see him again, and that was it. And also, almost like your brain's trying to process that it was a heartbreak all over again, really, because the image of my husband was walking away, and I knew I'd never see him again alive. In a way, if you know what I mean. It's hard to explain that, but so that was heartbreaking. And he got in the car, started the car up, and drove away without even looking at me. Didn't wave, didn't do anything. He just literally drove away. And that was a weird thing as well. The last image of my husband, it's not my husband, but he looks a bit like him. He looks like him. He sounds like him. It's the same voice, and the eyes look similar, the blue eyes, but it's not him. And he's driving away, and I'll never see him again. So yeah, that was another big deep breath moment for me, and I left a few days later, and I managed to sell the caravan for hardly any money. No one would pay the higher price for it, even though it was sitting with panoramic sea views. We'd done a lot in the caravan, it was my pension money in that caravan. My pension money went in that, and because he was on the agreement for the purchase of it, I had to pay him half, which was very annoying. But there you go. So we managed to sell it for hardly anything, to be honest. And then the money came through in the June. It wasn't that much, to be honest. And it just kept me going because I wasn't working and I needed to buy food and try and keep my website going and maybe try and give an odd bit of money to the person I was living with at the time, uh, run my car, all of those things you have to do to live. And so that money went really by about the September it had gone. Um, so, but hey, like it kept me going, and that was what it was there for. I'll tell you a little bit story about that caravan. That in 2022, I asked and put it out there to the universe that I would like some sort of uh, haven or special place for myself that would be by the sea. And I had money in the bank. I'd taken my some of my old company pensions. They weren't anything dramatic, folks, at all, but they'd added up a bit, and I got them in an account, and I've been saving some money as well. So I was looking for a caravan, but of course all of them looked like they were very expensive lodges and caravans. And I found, oh, and so deep in meditation one day, because deep in meditation, Sanat Kumara, who is one of the leaders of the Great White Brotherhood, is one like a Kumara, which is sort of linked to Lord Sananda, which is the higher self of Yeshua. And Sanat Kumara has always been one of my guides from the very beginning. He's a Venusian, and his beloved is Lady Venus, as we know, Venus, the Aphrodite energy. And they're both Venusians, of course, and I'm a Venusian, okay? There's a link, always a link, and I'm also a Hathorian, so I'm an intergalactic Hathor as well. I'm linked to the intergalactic Hathors. So the intergalactic Hathors and the Venusians and Sanat Kumara are linked by the 144,000 Venusian masters that were called forwards to assist with the planet Earth and bringing the vibration of planet Earth up. Oh my God, have we been doing it a long time, folks? So I knew Sanat Kumara in that way. There's a soul lineage connection to him. And he always used to turn up in my meditations from the very beginning. I always remember that. And he became more stronger with me in about 2014, 2015, when I got rid of the Metatronic energy, which was an overlay. I got rid of that. And I started to work with the goddess energy. And so it's interesting that the Aphrodite energy, the Venus energy, was running in the background with me all the time, and I didn't realise. And so Sanat Kumara was doing a lot, like would turn up in my meditations and talk to me. So and there's lots of stories I've got with Sanat Kumara. But anyway, so going back to the caravans, so he walked into my meditation in 2022, earlier on probably in the year, and he said, "I've heard your call for a haven," and that's exactly what he said. And he said, "It will come along soon. You will see it. You will spot it. There will be a sign that it's yours and that this is the right one." So I said, "What is the sign?" And he said, "The sign will be two doves of peace." Like, really? Two doves of peace will be the sign that this is a place for me. He said, "Yeah." But it was funny how he said, "Your haven, your safe space." So, literally, a few months later, I come across, I think it was probably in the May, which was the time when we were planning for the operation for the hip with my true husband. This caravan comes up on a haven site in Devon, and it's up at a bargain price. And when I look in the caravan at the pictures, it's in my favourite like tealy colour, and I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. 3 bedrooms, panoramic sea views, decking, and the owner wanted a quick sale. She had 2 caravans up for sale. She'd been running a letting business. So I literally don't waste my time. I say to my husband, who was waiting for the hip hop, he said, I can't come down because it would hurt me too much. I said, I know. So he said, you go down and have a look at it and see what you think. So I did it in the day, right? Went to Devon and back in the day and drove down to see this caravan. Well, it was amazing. I loved it. And I thought, oh, and I looked at the other one. It wasn't so good. It didn't have the sea views. They were more or less the same price. So I went for the one with the panoramic sea views. And I said to it, oh, yeah, I'll have this. Right, I had the money. So what's interesting is I go back to home and report like, oh, this caravan's amazing and da 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 da. And I remember him saying to me something like, well, it's yours, isn't it? It'll be your thing, because that's not really my thing. That's what he said. And I think we made an agreement he wouldn't go on the caravan agreement. There was something, because he had his name on the family car and I didn't, right, as an asset. Not that it was worth much, but it was worth a few. We paid quite a few thousand at the time when we bought it. So he said, well, what, just put your name on it and you have it in your name. Because at the time he'd just been paid out. So he had money, there was money there. And he could have gone and bought an asset of I think the plan was, if I look back, the plan was he was to buy a new car. So he was going to put that back in his name again. So it would have been worth, I don't know, 10, 15,000, maybe more. And we were going to put it in his name. So like he was saying to me, well, put your name on the caravan and then we're equal. So that was that. And then, of course, I starts to buy the caravan, right? And there's a bit of a delay because she's busy working too, and she doesn't want to let it go till the end of June. And I was going to Ireland on that retreat, facilitation, leading a retreat, and that was just after the operation and the clone had been swapped, and the clone was in. So it was all planned to sign at the end of June. Of course, my husband had gone, the real husband, who agreed that that caravan could go in my name, right? Because he was going to buy a car and the new car would be in his name. That was the deal. So I gets to going down to the caravan to sign the agreement, and the clone wants to come with me, of course. Yeah, come. So we go down, and then when we get there, he completely changes his mind and says to me, oh, I'd like to go on the caravan as co-owner, right? So that was out of character. And I said, oh, I thought we'd agreed that you were going to, oh, no, I'd like to go on. I want to feel it's mine too. That's what he said. So the paperwork had to be changed. And it was done. They changed it and his name went on it. And we both signed. So therefore, he became part legal owner of that. Now, isn't that a thing? Yeah, so that was a plan to take, because they knew at some point when I realised who he was, or maybe tried to do a runner, he would be able to take half of that away from me, because of course they don't want me to have any money to be able to do anything. So that was that. Anyway, let's go back to Sanat Kumara. So Sanat Kumara had sort of given me like the blueprint of what it was coming, and given me a clue with the name Haven. Then when I went home after viewing it that day with the owner, I look up on her Facebook page, and guess what? She's got a picture of two doves on it. Two doves of peace she had on her Facebook page as one of her cover pictures. It just came up when you flick through it. And that was the confirmation. Two doves. He told me two doves. That's the one. Buy it. So that was my confirmation for that. So Sanat Kumara also, let's move towards Sanat Kumara now. So that was that. So that puts to bed that, if you know what I mean. So Sanat Kumara also helped me in 2019, 2020, when this feeling that I'd been abused as a child was coming up. I couldn't open the deeper veils of illusion. I couldn't strip them from my third eye. So my third eye was really working well with Akashic records and seeing some planetary stuff, not all of it. But I knew I was a very exceptional reader. I knew that, and I knew, and I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying I knew I had a gift of seership, whatever you want to call it. That was phenomenal. I knew that, and I knew I could see things on a planetary level, and I could see many things on a universal level. I could look at other universes and things like that. But there was something stopping me, and I couldn't see what others could see that were of similar vibration. So, and I was being challenged by that because I was really not believing in reptilians or anything like that. There was a reason for that, because that third eye was still blocked, and they had deliberately, there was symbols sitting in my third eye to block me from being able to see that, because once I saw that, you can't unsee it. So Sanat Kumara plans this. He says to me, can you run a program with working through the veils of illusion, something like that, he said, and you put it out there and you'll get a few people on it and you can run it. Now, he did that on purpose for a reason, right? Was he wanted a particular person to come in and work with me. Now, that person came immediately forwards when I advertised it and said, yes, I'd like to do that. I've got confirmation I need to do that. Not one other person came in. So there was two of us, right? And we had to do 7 pyramid journeys with Sanat Kumara. And we started on the first pyramid, and oh my goodness me, talk about powerful. Of course, all the notes from those journeys are in my old journal books, which I've lost. But I can sort of remember that it was weird. We both were working together on these pyramid journeys every week before COVID, right? So we were building, it was almost like he needed to wake me up, and he needed to wake me up fast. So like, right, you need to do this. Now, this person I was doing the journeys with, in my naivety, thinking she needs it, right? She needs it more than me. I don't think so. It was the other way around. I needed it more than her. And in fact, she's an amazing master who is sitting here in 0 point on this earth right now, right? She's at 0 point. And the things she's had to go through in her lifetime too, but she's at 0 point. She's a master. And she's sitting here holding space for me in a very, grounded way. She didn't even know she was holding space for me. It's hilarious, right? If you think about it. So we went through these journeys, and the pyramids, I saw it like there was stations of identity of me walking through the pyramids. It was phenomenal. Not that I could catch who they were. There was one particular station of identity I know that I was. There's two. Only two really people that I know I've been, that there is so much confirmation and so much synchronicity around that. Other people have said, oh my God, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so there was all that going on, and every week we were going deeper into the pyramids, and every time we went into these white crystalline pyramids of light that he was taking us through, we were going through deeper initiations, and our bodies would be vibrating, and things would be flying off us, and it was just wow. Honestly, even now, it took my breath away what we did. We got to Pyramid 6 just before March 2020. Can you believe that, right? And we got to Pyramid 6. And I think it was Pyramid 6. I can't quite remember, Pyramid 6 or 7. Maybe the other person would know that. I can't remember. Maybe not. But uh, I was given a crystal, and he came up to me and he said to me, it was during that time, just as it was about to hit, and he said to me, "You need this, right?" And the crystal was really big, right? And I can't tell you what colour it was. It might have been ruby, or aquamarine, I can't remember. But he put it into my third eye. And as he pushed it into my third eye, I felt it physically, no doubt. It's like he was stood in front of me and he pushed, like, I don't know, a bloody big thing into my third eye, my pineal gland, right? And it hurt. It actually hurt when he did it. And I think I almost quite remember he might have said something like this, "I'm sorry about this." And then it went in, right? And it hurt when he did it. So I think that was about the sixth, seventh pyramid. Well, the day after, I wake up and I've got a huge boil or abscess over my third eye. It's hilarious. I look in the mirror and I've got this huge, like, wound sitting there and like this boil. I'm thinking, what the hell is this? That's where he put the crystal in my third eye. And no kidding, I went onto Facebook and started scrolling, and I'm looking at a picture of Bill Gates. Now, before that, I wouldn't have even recognised who he was, anything, right? I would have just flicked past him. I wouldn't have even realised that he's responsible for you know what and all that. I saw his face, and immediately there was recognition. I looked at him and I thought, shit, I know you. Excuse my language, I just swore there. Oh my God, I know you. I recognise you. And I saw the energy behind him immediately. And I thought, oh, he's not good. He's a bad un. That sort of thing. And I just like, oh my God. And then I can't tell you, it was like veils of illusion had just gone, boom, off. The programming that they put into me to keep that level of my gifts and abilities offline came away. And suddenly I was looking at pictures of certain people. People were sharing stuff saying, oh, look what they're doing. And I got it immediately. Like, oh my God, this is all just happening right in front of me. And I've not even seen it before. So that was a bit of a deep dive. And it literally happened overnight. I was telling people, my followers, oh, something's happened to my third eye and whatever. And I had to go and actually message someone who I'd called a conspiracy theorist. Yes, me. I'd called them one because I couldn't see what they were seeing. I just didn't have access to it. So as soon as I had access to it, which literally was overnight, I messaged them and said, I'm so sorry. Like, I just want to apologise because I see what you're seeing now. Immediately, I'm seeing it all. It's just there, right in front of me, and I can see it. And so I think we've got to give that sort of consideration and grace and understanding to those that cannot see what we see at this time. Their third eye is blocked. The pineal gland is absolutely, like, just won't allow them to take the veils of illusion off. And there's many reasons for that. It is the mass programming that's going on the planet. It's what they're consuming. It could be deliberate in their own family programming, what they've been through, and they don't know they've been through it. There's so many different reasons why someone doesn't see something or can't wake up. So we got to sort of allow that grace to see that they just can't see it. So of course they're going to flick back like I did with that person. And of course they weren't a conspiracy theorist. It was real. All of it was real. Of course it's real. And that is you climbing up in consciousness, going back to where you came from. And evidently my consciousness then increased, uh, because the programming, a layer of programming was taken off. And those 7 journeys were very powerful and deep. And evidently, that was preparing me to then wake up to the reality of that had been programmed, that had been blocked on purpose, that there were symbols sitting in me that were blocking my Christos architecture and embodiment, blocking my embodiment of ascension as a first waver. Now, remember that the first wavers were already sort of surfing the wave nearly, weren't they? And they were, awake for that time. I had to catch up fast, even though I was sort of on, I was, I suppose, coming online in different ways that enabled me to catch up, if you know what I mean. But it was a very deep dive and a very quick catch up, and I've had that ever since. Where I've had downloads where they've said to me, "You're in acceleration. You're being fast tracked. You have to meet your ascension markers. You have to meet certain corridors of time. In the fact of the planetary divine plan for liberation of humanity and the ascension plan, you have to meet certain markers." And I was warned, I don't know if I mentioned this before, I might have done, but last year, just before I left, in about the February or the January of 2024, I had a prolific dream, very intense. I knew it really happened, and I was called up to the high councils of light. I stood in front of 3 masters, I seem to remember, and one of them had long grey hair with a long grey beard, almost going down to his feet. He was one of the masters of the Great White Brotherhood, which I'm part of, and Sisterhood. And he walked up to me and said to me, "If you don't meet this ascension marker, you will have to drop your body. You will have to transition and drop your body to make the plan." Now, he was warning me, and that went in subconsciously. I didn't know what it was about. Like, what's he on about? I thought I was doing everything I should do. I was being diligent. I was doing my work. I was meditating. I was clearing up stuff as it came along. I had the tools to do that myself. So what are you talking about? What have I not done that I should have done? That sort of thing. Well, he was pre-warning me about the fact I was going to have to run. I was going to have to leave, because if I stayed there with that thing, I would have missed, I'd be in trouble anyway, and also I'd still be hooked up a bit. So that was the warning. And so Sanat Kumara preparing me in 2020 for what was to come, and me discovering actually in 2020 fully the horror of what had happened to me. And he is an amazing, amazing master and guide for me. He stepped back, I've noticed, a little bit recently. That's because I think his time with me and what he needed to do sort of was coming to an end a little bit. And then Lady Venus actually stepped in more fully. That goddess Hathorian energy stepped in as the, I suppose, Venus energy within me started to rise. And when I had been, I had another incident, and maybe I'll finish this episode with this, because I think it'll fit in with everything else that I've spoken about so far. In 2021, I was hijacked. We're not quite sure how. I have my suspicions. And I was hijacked during almost like a ceremony. And the space was being held by others at the time. But there was something that happened. We can't fully explain it. One day I probably will understand fully, and the councils of light know what happened, and my I Am Presence knows what happened. But literally, I was hijacked, and there was um, a sort of a hijacking of my soul, in the fact that uh, I had an infiltration of artificial intelligence energy that came in. Now, that was horrible, and it came under the masking of a walk-in that I was taking, a walking of a collective of goddesses, and their name was the Astrea Collective, and this was all a plan to hijack me. And as I received that walking, almost like a soul braiding it is, something didn't feel right. Uh, this is a soul lesson for me, a soul lesson of discernment, of challenging others' information, of uh, asking more questions, and of, yeah, it's a soul lesson for me. And I gradually found I was being shut down, and that I wasn't able to um, channel like I did before. I wasn't able to hear my I am presence. I get body shudders on the right hand side when I am hitting truth. When I'm talking or reading for someone, or I'm working on the quantum bridge, or I'm doing big soul work with someone like body reconstruction, whatever, I will get a big physical download on the right hand side, like a shudder runs right down me. It confirms that I'm on it, that I've got the information correct. All that stopped, and I knew something was up. I kept asking questions. I was asking others, like, there's something up here. There is something really up here, but I wasn't getting the answers. And eventually, I was guided to a young lady who had links to the Hathorians too, the Hathors, and she was amazing. And I never go for readings to anybody. I get it all myself, but I was in trouble. I needed help, and I was guided to her, and she did sort of like what was it, a soul aspect star reading for me or something like that, and it arrived. Guess when? 8/8 on the Lions Gateway in 2022. That this is the same time as the clone had been swapped. Like, my husband had been swapped, so I've got double whammy going on. I have been already hijacked, right? And I don't know it. My husband's been swapped out for a clone. They think they've got me. They think they've got me, folks, right? Never underestimate Lynn's soul. Never underestimate Lynn's soul. So then, I've got to the August. I've got the information, some of the information. So we start to work on that, right? But it actually wasn't really happening. I couldn't get rid of the infiltration, and I couldn't trust anybody at the time. I just couldn't trust anybody. And I had to then just go dig deep and go, do you know what? I'm going to go and do this myself. So I remember going to the Councils of Light, and I went up to the Goddess Council, because there is a Goddess Council. I went up to the Goddess Council and I walked in, and I said, I am in trouble. I am in trouble, and I am surrendering this to you. I don't know what to do. I don't know who to turn to. I don't know who to trust, but I've been hijacked. And there is something attached to me which is almost throttling me and shutting me down. And I don't know what to do. And honestly, I was on my knees. I didn't know what to do. And a goddess stepped out from the table of goddesses and walked towards me. And she had like this star sitting in her hair, and sort of glittering golden stars on her gown and in her hair. And she walked towards me, and I knew immediately it was Aphrodite, Venus. And she walked towards me and she said, you have been, what did she say? You have been recognised and acknowledged, and we have a solution for you. And she just put her hand up and brought down a crystalline star, 12-pointed star from the Godhead. And she said to me, take that and it will assist you. So this crystalline star just came into my body, the whole body, and then went in, and I felt it immediately. It was really powerful. And literally after that, uh, that was probably in the, when was that? That was probably in the early September. After that, I that was the first receiving of, we call, the triple star, and that crystalline star from the Godhead um, is actually a technology from the Crystal Star Councils of Light, and I've actually found it. I've actually found that technology only a couple of weeks ago, written about in the Ascension Glossary. I couldn't believe it that I found it, and I took that technology in 2022, and it spun out the interference. And I had a dream one night that I was in a house. There was women in my house. Now, this Astrea collective were mimicking 12 goddesses with me and saying that I was part of a collective of 12 goddesses. Well, I am, but it was a fake one. They were trying to trick me. God. So that night, I'm in this dream where I'm walking towards a house, and there are 12 women in the house representing my own soul matrix. I open the door to that. I try and get in the house and I can't, and they've locked it and said you can't get in. And all of a sudden I was just given this power to open the door. So I opened the door and strolled in, and immediately took the ringleader and threw her out of the door and shut the door and locked it, so that 11 was stood looking at me. And they said, "You've no chance. You're never going to get rid of us." And the next minute, I was like Wonder Woman, or the Bionic Woman. Wonder Woman. I literally spun round them, took all 11 at once, and opened the door and threw them out, symbolically, of my front door. I shut the front door and locked it, and that was that. And I woke up in a start. And I literally was floored for days. There's a bit more of a story to this, but I was floored for days. I was on holiday. I wasn't even in the country. I was in Lanzarote. I'd gone on holiday for 3 weeks. I mean, that's a long time, I know. But actually at the insistence of the clone. And the clone had suggested Lanzarote, and I know why now. Because I was saying, I'm a bit hijacked. I need to clear it, and da da da. So the clone knew I had the hijack and was thinking, oh, this is great. We can get her, da 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 da. And he suggested Lanzarote. We go to Lanzarote, and yeah, we're in this villa, and all this clearance starts to work, and I'm in bed for 24 hours, and I said, I'm ill, I can't get up. So he said, oh, that's all right, I'll. So I was in bed for 24 hours, almost spinning out this stuff. The stuff that went on was unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. I saw rainbow colours in the room. I saw beings walking in and out in white gowns. I felt like my light body was being reconstructed. I felt like everything was working for me to remove and clear that interference. And then it was cleared. And then as I started to feel better, and I thought, yeah, this is gone. This is gone. Oh my God, I was so happy. I got a big download. And that's where I got the download for my new system, the triple star system, and what it means. And I got the download for it that day, with also my connections to the Hathors. And I've got that written actually on my phone, because I took it and put it into my phone and laptop. So I've got that. And the information I got, oh my God. Of course, I was blocked from the higher Andromedan universes and the star nations and all of that energy. And as soon as that energy was taken off me, and cleared, I actually then went up and was access to that universe. It was an amazing thing. I remember that too. Um, I'll try and wind this up at about 55 minutes, folks, okay? But you know how I love talking. I love telling you what's happened to me. So, yeah, I got rid of this interference and I felt so much better immediately. I felt better, like, yes, I've got rid of this. And then, of course, born from that was the technique to clear interference. So, of course, I have to live it first, typical Wayshower. I have to live it first and then roll it out to others because I managed to get the technology. So that was fine. But we were still on holiday. I didn't know he was the clone. Remember, I didn't know he was the clone. And he suggests that we go to a certain place one day, right? Up in the north of the island. And he'll drive, right? Okay. And I now know that that particular part of the island, there's a portal, and it's a bad portal. It's not a good one. And that I think he was trying to take me to that place so that there might be more chance they could try and hook me up. They couldn't because it was sealed and they wouldn't have been able to do that because I know of what we do now when we clear interference and how we seal it, that they can't come back in. So we were driving to it and my left contact lens cracked in my eye. Now, they're normally soft and they are soft contact lenses. They never do that. And I normally carry contact lenses with me in my handbag always so that I can just replace it because they're disposable. I didn't have a replacement with me and it completely went into half. And I said, I can't carry on. You're going to have to turn around. I said, because, and my eye started swelling, a little bit because it was irritating my eye. I said, I can't go on because I won't be able to see a thing and my eye's killing me. He went, okay, all right. So he turns around and drives back to the villa and says, well, change your contact lens and we'll go back. And I said, no, I don't feel like it. My eye's really hurting now. Ba-bum. That was the divine assisting me. That was my I am presence, left-hand side, left eye, saying, nope, you're not going there. You're not doing that. You are not going to that space and place. And after that day, he suggested it again, I think. And I said, no, I don't feel like it. I just knew I shouldn't go there. And I didn't go. Isn't that fascinating? So, I had a lot thrown at me interference-wise in that period of time from 2021, 2022, when, my husband left and I suppose they were feeling like they had to hit me from both ends to try and get me to submit or to, or whatever. But I'm stronger than that. And I come from a very strong monad and powerful I am presence, a monadic family. And we weren't going to allow that. And, I wasn't going to come this far and then get thrown, with that. So that birthed my new system, in fact, and gave me the protocols to clear interference and to shut back doors of soul interference. And as I say, I've had to live and embrace, embody and walk that path to be able to bring the solutions to it. And that's why I say I've no intention of leaving early after going all through this. I want to roll those protocols out, and I have worked with people with severe interference, and to see their transformation is absolutely just the best thing in the world. And to see people, I don't know if you heard that, but that's my stomach rumbling. So I apologise if you did hear it. It's just my tummy, because I'm recording this early morning. And I have seen, someone who's so badly affected with MK Ultra and monarch programming and satanic ritual abuse that they can't operate on a day-to-day basis. They have many, many, many alters. They have uh, difficulties with everyday life, with cooking, with not being able to work, with uh, just living in a place of trance all the time, and then being used as open portals. And to see that person come under my protocols, and through diligent work of the last few years with them on and off, um, getting them to a stage where their portal has shut down and they are not being used in that format anymore. They're not fully out of the woods yet, but they are like 10 tons better than when I first met them 9 years ago. That is like, oh, that's just wonderful to see someone come out of that suffering. They're not fully there yet, but oh my goodness, and to get that confirmed by other amazing seers on the planet that have said, oh my goodness, I can see what you've done to the light body, those protocols you brought from the councils and what it's done to them, and you've restored their light body architecture. I haven't done it. I'm just a channel for the divine, but the divine, and the reconstruction of their light body is taking place right now, and it's amazing. That's just a wonderful thing, and that is what's possible. I saw another person who was recommended to me from another sort of well-known person in the field of this, who said, if anybody can help you, it'll be Lynn. And she came and said, you've been recommended. And she was exhausted, fatigued. You could look at it in her face. She had bags under her eyes. She was drained energetically like a battery. They were taking her life force. She was an amazing, beautiful woman, not from this country. She wanted to get going and get on with her light work. Very much a planetary nodal keeper like myself, and probably a very powerful planetary healer, working on the ley lines and the crystalline core like myself. And I was guided to work with her over I think it was 5-6 sessions over gaps of 2 to 3 weeks in between, just to give her the chance for her light body to recalibrate each time, because it was big work. Oh my goodness. We broke some contracts with an Anunnaki. We recovered some soul aspects that were trapped galactically. We cleared a net around her. We gave her divine soul sovereignty. She claimed that. She broke all her contracts. Oh my goodness. At the end, to see her smiling at me, light filled, shining, and saying to me, I feel completely different. I have my energy back. I feel light filled. I am joyful. I am loving life. I know that I am not being used anymore in that way. I am able to go and travel now and do the sacred sites, and to be able to go and do my work as the crystalline core keeper. It was just I can't put into words how it feels when you see that person change that much, and you see it energetically happening right in front of you. It's just, it's just amazing, because I know how it feels to live a life of interference, to never ever really be free. You think you're free, but you're not, till you actually do the work to liberate yourself. And oh my goodness, it just, it's just it, and I do that work quite quietly in the background. I have had times where those souls are being used and they've attacked me energetically while I'm working on them, and it's not them doing it, it's the energy behind them doing it. I have actually had some darker aspects of souls come and target me and try and work with me to deliberately like take me off kilter or to I don't know. You know that there'll always be a fight going on that way with that, but nothing will stop me. I keep going. Um, I have those amazing protocols now that will, as I say, help so many. Uh, I'd really like to roll that out with the children. I'd like to put protocols together to assist children that have been abused in a terrible way. I know I've got the protocols for it. I know I have. Um, and I'd love to roll that out at some point in the future. So there's so much to look forwards to. I know this is a bit of everything mixed in, but it's making sense, I hope, with the last few years and what has happened to me. But look, hey, I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim. I am. I came here to do this job. I came in fully knowing that it would be extremely hard and difficult to do this. I mean, in my human form, I sometimes look up at them and go, really? Really? Did I have to go through all of this? And I do say jokingly to them, because humour is a great thing to get us through these times, is look, I'm taking a holiday in between incarnations, thank you very much. I'm going on a tropical planet, I'm going to put my feet up, and I'm going to have a few thousand years of rest. Because I think I like it actually, and I deserve it. I'm always joking with them. But Sanat Kumara, as I say, has always been in the background with me, probably always will be, with Lady Venus and the Great White Brotherhood, who are just amazing and are actually bringing the light technology for New Earth. And yeah, it's just, there is so much to look forward to. There is so much happening now on a really positive level. And thank you for staying with me to this point. And thank you so much for listening. And if you feel like supporting me, I would appreciate it on Buy Me a Coffee, the link below, or as I say, or a cocktail, or a light, shall I say, a light cocktail, light filled cocktail, or a cup of tea. And it helps towards me being able to continue and to try and spend some time working on new protocols. And you know, if you feel drawn to work with me, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here, and you know, I offer training in Quantum Bridge as well for those healers that feel they want to learn these protocols. Uh, you know, as I say, I've walked this path to be able to birth them, and they are not mine. They are the divines. They are the divines. They are the divines' protocols. They just come through me. That's all. But yeah, I would love it. And thank you for listening. And lots of love. And till next time. Okay, bye.